and welcome back to a new piece of content for a community, a collective TCG. I'm Cole.
And I'm Trey.
And today we have for you what is the first of what we like to call deck techs, where we've kind of created this little tool for you to get to know some of the new decks coming out in an upcoming set. And just to get us rolling, we'll get right into one of the first decks you'll see in set 3, Interdimensional Transcendence. And that deck is...
This one's going to be fun. This one is Fiery Immolation Dragon Kotihblaze. This one has some interesting skills here. So first one is an act ability, Vanguard Circle. Cost once per turn, Counterblast 1. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Choose up to 2 grade 3 or less cards with different card names from this unit from among them. Reveal them. Choose up to 1 card from among the revealed cards. Call it to rearguard and put the rest revealed cards into Soul and shuffle the deck. The second skill, Auto Vanguard Circle. At the end of the battle that this unit attacked, perform one of the following. Cost Soul Blast 2. For each of the cards Soul Blast for this cost, choose up to 1 of your rearguards with the same card name as that card. Stand them and they get power plus 5k until end of turn. And then the second skill is cost Soul Blast 2 cards with the same card name as this unit and discard a card from hand. Stand this unit and this unit gets power plus 5k and drive -1 until end of turn.
So I think already we're kind of noticing that this deck wants to get a lot of the similar names, almost like a super old Dark Zone deck that wanted to get like matching names from cards in Soul and on board to do stuff.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one to me. It's going to be super piece reliant, which means you're going to have to run 4 ofs in the deck, which makes it simple since there are a lot of cards coming out with specific support for this deck in set 3. So it's going to be pretty easy to get those cards that you need coming in the same set. But being a multi-attacking rearguard, if you have the correct setup of cards in Soul and on board for additional power, is pretty okay. And it essentially nets you 2 cards out of your deck, so you can kind of deck thin a little bit with 1 to rearguard and 1 to hand, or 1 to Soul, sorry.
It's interesting that its auto is not once per turn. So if you can like Soul Blast 2 copies of himself that are in your soul to stand him, and then on his next swing Soul Blast 2 cards that share names with like cards on your board, then you can get like 6 attacks, I think, which seems pretty powerful. I don't really know how often you're gonna get to do that. That feels like a once per game kind of thing with how it's set up, but
I mean, technically, I think you could get this to 8 attacks.
Oh, really?
If you have enough Soul and rear guards on board. It obviously is very, very specific, because if you attack rear guards, attack your Vanguard, restand your Vanguard. Oh, maybe not. Maybe it's only 6. Thinking about it now again. But either way, is going to be a very, very piece heavy deck, and it gives a different sort of playstyle. So if you want to try to focus more on the restand of your main Vanguard, you have that ability. You just have to be able to cycle your grade 3s and your persona rides. And then if not, if you just want to stick to like a very consistent 5 attack deck, then you have that there as well.
Yeah, having both of these effects on 1 card, it kind of reminds me of like Thegria, but both like Dark Thegria and Light Thegria's abilities to like either restand itself or restand a rearguard just in 1 card. And especially when it comes to like restanding itself, that's very Dragon Empire. But let's see how it goes about doing that with its ride line. So it's grade 2 is Flame Severing. Well, I guess actually we should start with the grade 1. Is Divine Blaze Ear Sinful. When he's rode upon by the grade 2, you Soul Blast 1. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck. Choose up to 2 cards each with different grades. Reveal them. Choose a grade 3 card from among the revealed cards. Put it into hand. Put the rest of the revealed cards into Soul and shuffle the deck. And then the grade 2 is Flame Severing Dragon Baldrass. When he's rode upon by the grade 3, You draw a card, choose a grade 3 or less from your hand, and call it. If you did not call, choose a card from your hand and discard it. And then, he's got a rear guard effect where he gets plus 5k power if you're on the grade 3, which is active on the opponent's turn too, weirdly enough. But it's very interesting to me that the grade 1 will grab you 2 cards. Only a grade 3 will go into your hand, and you put the other one into soul. So I guess what they might be wanting you to do is get like a persona ride pretty early on,
Yeah,
different grades. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know.
I mean, it's nice because it's board setup, or sorry, soul setup. So if you see a card that you already know you have in hand that you're going to be able to play once you get to your grade 3, you'll have that one copy in there. So you can restand that one card. But choosing a grade 3 from the revealed cards and putting it to hand is an interesting one because, yes, it kind of looks like it wants to add that persona right to your hand, but also you're discarding a card with your grade 2 if you didn't call a grade 3 to rear guard. So it's almost like it's forcing you to search for one of the support cards that's coming up in the set that is a grade 3 to help you board build a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I feel like this ride line kind of gives you a lot of flexibility because you can also like search for like a Regalis piece maybe off the top 7, which is a lot to look through. And depending on how your hand looks already, if you already have like a grade 3 rear guard in your hand, you can set up way into the future of the game with it. So yeah.
I think the deck has a good spread of grades of cards that are going to be added into it. So I feel like top 7 should be okay. Obviously, there is the potential of you just seeing multiple triggers and other cards that won't allow you to see 2 different grades. But I think it's good enough. It does its job with trying to do that soul build, and then the grade 2 is a free draw essentially, and you get to call a rear guard, which I mean can't be too bad, right?
Yeah, it's one of the few Dragon Empire decks that has a very healthy mix of being like pretty Vanguard centric and rear guard centric. And we'll see more of that as we get into this deck's triple rare that it will receive in this set.
Yeah, and this is going to be Flame Kickboxer Tarian. And this one has an auto rearguard circle. When this unit attacks, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Kotihblaze in its card name, this unit gets power plus 5k until end of turn. And then its second skill, rearguard circle as well. At the end of the battle, this unit attacked. Choose a grade 3 card with Kotihblaze in its card name from your ride deck, and you may reveal it. If you reveal the card or have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Kotihblaze in its card name cost, put this unit into soul and draw a card. This card, the second skill, when I first read it, kind of gave me a hard time because it felt like its first skill seemed contradictory to it at first, but it gives you the option of using this at your grade 2 and or grade 3 while using it to set up your soul again by putting itself into soul and drawing a card. But it just is worded very oddly that it has both conditions where you may reveal the grade 3 from ride deck, or if your Vanguard is grade 3.
Yeah.
The loop first.
Yeah, it's nice that it gives you the option to do it early. I guess the idea is if you can do it early and find another copy of him later, you will have one in soul for the Vanguard's ability, so you can like restand him, because his first skill is until end of turn. So if he ends up attacking twice, he'll get 10k both swings.
Yeah, I like it because also if you're restanding this unit, you are really going to be swinging it as a 25k on the second attack, so it kind of helps fight against that trigger pull. So 15k to help swing over your 13k opponent, and then you get the 5k from the restand of Kotihblaze when the rearguard stand, and it's all to the end of turn, so it's just 15k, 20k when it restands, and then 25k when it attacks again. So kind of nice that it's always going to have that little bit of power to help push things and push attacks through. And just makes it kind of annoying. And the fact that you can clear your board at the end of your battle with it when you're trying to end your turn, you get a little bit more to hand. You leave less pieces on board for people to disturb. I think it's an overall just a very good triple rare for this deck.
Oh yeah, it's really solid. And we'll see how the rest of its support helps it. Starting with a grade 3 Ember Breath Dragon. During your turn, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Kotihblaze in its card name, you get plus 5k. And once per turn, if you have Kotihblaze as your Vanguard, you can counterblast 1, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 card, I reveal it and call it, and if that revealed card is a grade 2 or less a normal unit, call it if it's a grade 2. Put it in the hand if it's not. Shuffle the deck at the end of that turn. Put this a unit into soul. A lot of different words going on here.
It's a lot going on.
Yep, but we also have got a grade 1 Fire Pole Emperor Daijaru. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Kotihblaze in its card name, you can rest him to choose a normal unit without Sentinel from your drop, put it on the bottom of the deck, choose a unit with the same card name as that chosen card, and it gets plus 5k. Pretty nice, kind of helps you not deck out. And when your grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Kotihblaze in its card name is attacked, you can go into your soul to choose one of your Vanguards, and it gets plus 15k until the end of that battle.
Yeah, very good. I mean, it's gonna stay on board. It's not gonna do a whole lot itself in reality, but in sense of attacking or boosting, since you're really going to be using its 2 skills. I feel like the rest of the unit to help put cards back in, that helps you get certain pieces back in the deck that you'll need later on. It helps you cycle persona rides, to maybe get a second or a third potential restand off of your main grade 3, and it gives the power to a unit. So putting on a rear guard that's going to attack multiple times may be really good. But also the defensive ability of it from board is just very good. And it goes to souls to help you get those renamed units back in soul.
Oh yeah, I really like the idea of using this card with the triple rare we saw, where like maybe on your turn 3, you've got 2 of the triple rare, 1 in your soul, 1 on your board, and you can like restand it with your Vanguard for turn 3, and then on turn 4 with this guy, you can put that card that you soul blasted to stand the grade 2 back onto the bottom of your deck to pump him, and then if he's still on your board, obviously, and then during your opponent's turn, you can hide this guy back in into your soul to give him 15k for a battle, which is really cool. I'm glad that more decks are being designed with like defensive stuff like this.
Oh, 100%. It's something, to help keep the games not go turbo, but keep a good balance of cards. I mean, in reality, you're only going to use this a couple of times. So it's really kind of depending on how you want to do it. If you would rather use it defensively, or if you'd rather use it for its first effect to keep cycling cards. It's going to be very matchup dependent, I feel.
Oh yeah, and then we've got this last grade 2 where when he's placed, you get a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Kotihblaze in its card name. You can CB1, choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it, and then discard a card to retire another rear guard. I don't know if I've seen a card like have 2 costs like this locked to just be doing the same thing, but it seems pretty good. I almost wonder if this deck really wants to care about retiring the opponent's rear guards as much as it wants to like set up its own soul and stuff, but at least for now it probably isn't the worst thing. And when it's retired from rear guard or guardian circle, if it's in its intended deck, you can put it into soul after it's retired. Yeah, so
yeah, to me this card feels like it should be a Greedon card, or not Greedon, it's like Gandiva card.
Oh sure.
Just how it's just kind of goofy. Yeah, I think the retire is I don't know how relevant it's actually going to be. I think it's going to be a good piece to have just for those moments when you do want to have it. But I think it's going to be a more of just an interceptor. You're going to use it kind of like your direful dolls and Tamayura. You're going to leave them on your front row and then intercept on an attack to shove it back to soul. So that the next time you go to attack with it, you can soul blast the card name. Kind of an interesting one. I'm curious to see how often it really gets used, or if it's going to be more used for ditch fodder.
Yeah, it's what I'm noticing with all these cards is that this deck is going to be very technical. Like, you need to balance copies of cards in your soul with what's on your board, as well as like what you can do with multiple copies of your Vanguard in your soul to like stand itself. It's a lot of resource management, and I almost wonder if how much of a magnifying lens this deck will have on it with how much it's asking of its player. But regardless of that, what is the general thoughts we have on this deck here?
Well, it's kind of nice. It's got a brand new direction for Dragon Empire. It is very balanced between its rear guard and vanguard attacks. It can kind of do all the above. It feels, just from looking at its generic support without a little bit of playtesting, it feels like it's going to probably be fairly consistent. It's got a heavy focus on multiple copies of cards, so making deck building very easy and consistent. With the proper setup, it will be able to attack 6 times through a large amount of prepared resources spent. So, yeah, you're going to be kind of almost like a one-turn kill kind of deck, it feels like, to get a true proper 6 attack combo off. It feels like you're going to be blowing a lot. So, game afterwards may be a little tough. It's going to be very accessible and budget friendly, luckily, because every single card in the deck I feel like will mostly be in this support and like in this set. So there are going to be pieces like Chalice that may be very good in it, PGs and things outside of that, but should be very nice. Should be super easy to access everything. And it has a fairly simple game plan that rewards good management on its resources. So as long as you are doing what the deck is asking of you, it's going to probably just sneak out some games here and there because of its decent power numbers and everything. So
yeah, I think if you are a really big fan of a deck that asks you to manage a lot of resources, this might be something you should look into picking up, especially if you're recently getting into the game and you really like decks in other card games that ask a lot of you to manage like in-game resources. This one has a healthy amount of like counterblast and soul blast costs in it to go with having to balance like multiple copies of cards in like your soul and on your board. So there's a lot to ask here for, not a nothing turn. I think on a Persona right turn, this can put on a lot of decent pressure, and I don't think it will be bad for a pickup.
Yeah, I think it's really going to be a true turn forward deck. Like that Persona ride turn is going to be very good with the amount of power that it's going to be swinging for, and it's 5, maybe 6 attacks. Like, obviously, you have to get a Kotihblaze into soul early and Persona ride. So seeing 3 of your 4, or 2 of your 3 copies in the deck of the card is going to be tough. But if you can pull it off and get a really good turn 4, you're going to do a lot of disruption and could do a lot of good things with some playtesting here. I'm sure once the combos and everything get settled in and learning how it kind of plays, it's going to do pretty all right.
Yeah, and with that, I think that'll wrap up our deck tech on the Dragon Empire deck coming out of Interdimensional Transcendence. If you watched to the end, thanks. If you like this kind of content, please let us know in the comments or just by giving it a like. And be sure to subscribe for the rest of these that will come up for set 3. Yeah, and until next time, I was Cole.
I was Trey.
And we'll see y'all in the next one.